Hey guys, I want to introduce you to Emily Walker. Emily's going to be teaching our 6-week yoga program. So Emily, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into yoga.
Absolutely. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here at Kana. My husband Justin is one of the coaches here, so it's nice to combine efforts. I started practicing yoga when I was about 10 or 11 years old. It was hosted in a squash court in Huntington Valley, and I loved it. A lot of my friends giggled through it. The postures were new and different, and the names were kind of funny, and we loved Shavasana at the end. A lot of people love the Shavasana.
We definitely do here.
The rest period at the end.
Yes.
And then I practiced yoga off and on, but it wasn't really until college that I realized that yoga could be its own athletic practice, and it didn't have to complement a sport. I played a lot of sports in high school, field hockey, lacrosse, tennis. And then as I re-entered my yoga practice in college and afterward, I realized how much I really loved it, not only for the physical benefits as a workout, but also in my life to gain grounding and to come back to my breath, especially during stressful times. It's nice to have a place to go to recenter as an adult. And when we were living in Florida, I connected with a great studio there, and I practiced every day, so did Justin, and we loved it. We actually moved closer to the studio. I started working there and then did my 200-hour yoga teacher training there. So you really can delve as deeply into your yoga practice as you like, whether you're doing it every couple years, once a week, every day. It's really accessible to fit into your life how you need it, when you need it.
So we're definitely going to have some people joining us who have a good amount of experience with yoga, or at least know the terms and are comfortable doing yoga. But for the people who might not be as comfortable or who have never done yoga, what can they expect when they show up Sunday nights? And we'll talk a little bit more detail about that. But when they show up for that hour, what can they expect in that hour?
Sure. So every pose is cued. So I might say, go into a lizard lunge, for example, and you might not know what that is. If you know it, you go right into it. And if you don't, I'll cue where should your foot be, where should your hands be. And then a lot of CrossFit athletes will say, oh, I recognize this. We just call it something else.
Spider-Man, yeah.
There you go.
Ours, yeah.
So every single pose is cued, and especially in this small group setting, you can always ask a question or flag me over. And I don't offer physical adjustments, but I can give you verbal cues, and then I can demo myself to show you the pose. And another reassurance would be a set formula. Sometimes it's nice to know, what are we going to do? And all of my classes have a basic set formula. First, we'll come onto our mats. I ask if there's anything you particularly want to work on. So if you've been doing a workout that's really been working a part of your body or a certain pose that you want to try, we always have that flexibility to add that in. And then we'll come into a breathing practice. There'll be a special focus for that class. Like maybe it's grounding, maybe it's coming into your confidence, maybe it's finding your calm. And then the whole class will follow in that theme. First, we'll do movements on the mat, and then we'll do our standing balancing postures, and then the restorative postures back down on the mat. And we always end in Shavasana. Shavasana guaranteed. So every pose will be cued. There's a basic formula. And you also can't do it wrong, in the sense that if you don't want to do a pose, you can do something else. That's called flowing your own way. And you always have the freedom to make adjustments or to try something else. So you're never forced into any posture.
Let's say someone is looking into this, but they're saying to themselves, you know, I'm going to be a fish out of water, I'm not flexible, I don't know what I'm doing. What would you say to that?
I'd say that yoga is for everyone, and every posture and every modification is the posture. So if you're looking to touch your toes, but that's not accessible to you, I would cue bend your knees generously so you can, or you could also use a prop to get down to your toes. So we can work with everyone. And the beauty of the yoga practice is that non-attachment. So it wasn't a good practice or a bad practice. if you're simply there breathing, you're in your yoga practice, which is so great.
Cool.
And if it's difficult or weird or hard, that's another part of it, just getting used to being in that space together and coming back to your breath when things are a little weird or hard in everyday life.
Yep. Yeah, so I would say from a CrossFit perspective, we just put out a blog post. By this point, it would be on Monday, Monday's blog post, but it's all about yoga being the yin to CrossFit's yang of high intensity. So in our workouts, we're generally going at a high intensity, go, 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 but with yoga, we're centering ourselves, we're calming down, we're getting into that restorative state. And from a practical standpoint, we're working on, honestly, mobility that most of us need in a workout anyway. So if you have trouble getting deep into a squat, clearly there'll be things that open up the hips. If people are having trouble going overhead with movements like overhead squats or presses overhead or pull-ups, there's going to be, thoracic mobility built in there. So it's all going to be complementary to everything that we do in the gym. And then the fact that we're having it on Sunday nights, I think will also be a nice way to kind of go into the week in a nice state rather than this kind of Sunday scaries, frantic, I gotta get everything done type feel. Absolutely,
and for this, each session will have a different focus, and that can be the focus you carry with you for your week if you choose, and bring that into each of your CrossFit workouts and notice, how did this change me? Where am I more focused? And you can still be very competitive, but letting go of any judgment that you have on yourself, which will carry you forward as an athlete.
Cool. So we're gonna run this starting this Sunday, November 10th. It's gonna go to the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. Then we're gonna take a week off December 1st, but you're gonna provide an online yoga flow for people to do at home. And then we're gonna resume with December 8th, 15th, and then the last session will be the 22nd. So you get 6 sessions, plus you get an online flow. And then when you show up, you'll get a boxed water from us. It is bring your own mat, but if you don't have any, we have some spare ones in case you do need some, but we have only a few, so try to bring your own mat if you have one. Anything else you wanna add?
Sure, that this is a great time to try something new or to deepen your practice as an athlete. And if you've been curious about yoga, this is a great space to try it out. Bring a friend along with you and get your week started off with some yoga on Sunday Night Sakana.
We'll include a link in this post that you guys can click and register. We're only opening up to 20 people. It's $89 for the whole thing. And then if people do want to drop in, they can come talk to us about that. But yeah, hopefully see you here for yoga with Emily Walker on Sunday nights.